Hi, my name is Marvin. I'm a creative director and a filmmaker. I went to a good secondary school. It's called Archbishop Tennyson's in Croydon. And one of my best subjects there was art, actually. I was good at maths as well and other things. But moving from there, they had a sixth form there. And I thought to experience life at a bigger scale and explore more and mingle with more people. I thought most of my peers stayed on at sixth form, as most do, but I thought, let me go to college. After that, I went to Kingston College and I did graphics design. So I was always creative. I was always had an eye for detail and arts. But I thought, let me expand from just doing art and bring it into graphic design. I didn't have a favorite teacher growing up. I think I bonded a lot with my PE teacher because I was like the captain of the football team. So they gave me a lot of favor there because I was very prominent in the team. I had a lot of fun at college. Graphic design was something new to me, but it was fun because I was able to constantly come up with new concepts. It was very practical. I wanted something practical rather than something textbook because that was kind of my style. I left college with a triple distinction, so I moved on to Brunel and I got a scholarship through that because I had such a top grade. But the interesting thing from moving to college to university is that they didn't have graphic design at Brunel. The closest thing they had was multimedia design, which consists of like graphic design, but also like internet, websites, and a bit of other stuff. It's quite a broad range of multimedia. And I thought, instead of going somewhere specific, like I could have went Ravensbourne to continue graphic design, I wanted to still expand my abilities because I wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do overall when it comes to work. But yeah, I was at Brunel for a year with multimedia, and then I actually discovered video. How I discovered video was quite interesting. I was running for ACS position at the end of the year, which is the African Caribbean Society. And I thought, I never like to enter a competition without going all in or losing. I wasn't going to lose, so I thought, let me do something different. And my friend was very good at video. He did a lot of DVDs. He worked with a lot of artists, music videos. Him himself at that time was creating a DVD in South London, which consisted of like stars now, like Stormzy, Krypton Conan and stuff like that. And I took to his creativity and I was quite inspired by him and the way he could mix video, animation, and do what he did to make it so engaging. So I asked him to teach me a few stuff. He taught me the basics upon video editing. And what I did, I took them that knowledge. I went to university and I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a showreel of campus, different halls, different people, prominent people on campus, and kind of merge it together to show what Brunel is. And then I added my speech in there at the end. It was quite cheating because I didn't have to do a speech, but that was my way of winning the people over. And from that video, I did win the position as for media. People were astonished by the video. They already took to it, and they was like, how long have you been doing video? Is this the first video you've done and stuff like that? And they were shocked when I told them that like I've never done video before. And from there, I realized that I have a kind of a gift in this area. And then from there, I just took it further. So I actually did multimedia in the first year, but I moved on to broadcast media, which is more video based. And from there, I haven't stopped doing video. I don't think school prepared us enough for the working world. I mean, I can only speak in terms of my field, in terms of media. They taught us the technology and the theory of video, but not more so the business side of things, or how to acquire clients, or how to go further in that direction. These are skills I've had to learn upon myself by just being hands-on. I wish I would have known that in my field of work, it's more to do with networking and experience over qualifications. There's many people. Funny enough, I didn't finish my university course. I took a gap year to do work, and I stayed on to do work because I got my foot in the door at television. And from there, I've been progressing ever since. I've been flying around the world doing production and directing and a senior editor. But there was many of my peers who did finish the course. They left university and didn't have a job for a good 3 years or so in their field of what they wanted to do. So I wish I knew that it's more about building your portfolio, networking, getting out there and building a brand as well would really help you. I believe, well, let me start with even in terms of video, I was very self-taught. Even in terms of business, I started off very self-taught because whilst I was at university, I ran a production company at the same time, and at that time I was doing a lot of university events, raves and parties and other things. And through that journey and through the mistakes I learned and dealing with certain people, that's where I learned a lot of my skills and know-how in that sense. After that, definitely in the production house I was at in television, I was there and I was learning off what it is to really run a business and to run a bigger scale production. So it's more in work where I learned these skills. Play around with stuff. You may not know what you want to do, especially in terms of video. There's many fields, there's many directions you can go in. Success is not linear. So like myself, I started off in graphic design and I went to multimedia, and then I ended up into broadcast media in terms of video. Every step is not in vain. You're always going to pick up something, and you're always developing, either it's yourself or your skill. So I would say just not be anxious about it. And if you don't know where you want to go right now, you'll discover it, but start something. Education is good. I would never knock education. Even the setup of university in itself, I've learned so much. I mean, even in terms of dealing with people, being around people, that experience in itself definitely changed my life. It definitely has impacted who I am now. The people I got to know, the relationships I built, I still have them relationships. Even in terms of business-wise, people still recognize me from what I used to do in the university and have become clients. So I would say the educational system, it really depends on, it's not for everyone, but there's definitely benefit in getting education. I really enjoy creating my own projects. I think where I started off when it comes to video production was actually in comedy. I created a parody MTV Cribs during university called Bruno Cribs, which was filming students' dorms. It was quite funny, giving us a tour around their room and what makes their room unique and even their personality. And that was the first production I did, and that's what inspired me to continue in video. And I think it's the inspiration to create and to make people laugh that really excites me. So in terms of a recent project I've done, I put together a mockumentary series with a partner of mine who I collabed with called Michael Dapper. He's very well known right now. And we put together a comedic mockumentary of following four people's life through success, and that did so well online. Right now on the channel, it's got over 1 million subscribers, and many of the episodes have got over 1 million. And I feel like creating entertainment that inspires people, that excites people, makes people laugh, that's what I really enjoy most. I think the toughest challenge I've had is definitely to do with knowing your worth. When I was in the corporate world, or would I say a production house, they would price you at a certain price, but make it look like they're doing you a favor in terms of the experience you're gaining and stuff like that. And, at a level, the experience is great. I'll never knock that, and the stuff you can learn. But then it gets to a certain level where you've outgrown the place and your value and your pricing has exceeded what they're giving you. And sometimes they're not willing to pay more at that level. So with the education of knowing my worth and knowing what you're able to do, even at that place, I had to step out of that workplace when they refused to kind of give me a pay rise, which they promised. And I went freelance from that full time. And I think pricing and just communicating your value is something that a lot of freelancers deal with and battle with, because it's either someone will recognize your worth and your value and pay for it or not, and you have to be okay with that and at peace with that. When I was in full-time television, I found myself having to constantly negotiate a contract and a pricing that suits us, works for us both. Where I was working at, they like to continually shortchange you and get you at their lowest price so they can save as much money. So where I worked in television, it was very African Caribbean dominated. It was set up by a black owner, so it was very black owned. So I do feel race had a part to do with it, but I feel like education had a part to do with it as well, in terms of whether they know what they can get away with or not. Sometimes they would step over the mark. They won't give you money for expenses. They won't mention certain things, so they can definitely save money in certain areas. The advice I would give for anyone who wants to go into television or work with certain production houses is definitely get an understanding of what the general day rate is for certain things for your role, and compare it with other companies. And if it's very below, then you're gonna have to have a word with whoever's in the line manager, or just look at other places where they meet the average salary. I first learned about money management in college. At my time, we had EMA, so we got money every week, but you would have to strategically make that stretch over the periods of the weeks and stuff like that. But that was my first experience of having my own personal money and what I do with it. So I became disciplined with my money, because I wasn't actually getting extra money from home as well. So that's where I felt responsible. The skills I learned when it comes to money management now is, as soon as I get a pay, or I get invoice paid or something, I make sure that I separate my money immediately when it comes in. So whether it's I have a certain account for bills, I have a certain account for living and leisure and other things, and I make sure I split that first, so I actually know what money is mine. And one of the mistakes I made at early stages, whatever money I had, I would spend it first and then try to see what I have left for bills after, and it didn't work. So now I understand that what's mine to spend and what is actually not mine, because even as a freelancer, you have to do your own taxes. So when I first started off as a freelancer, I wasn't aware of splitting up the taxes and thought it was something I could do later on. So I would eat into money which is not actually mine. So whatever comes into your account, depending on what job you have. It's good to know what is actually yours and what is actually not, and just knowing what money's going where. That's something I had to get disciplined with. I really don't have an end goal, but one of my aspirations is to do a feature film. I definitely see myself doing a feature film in the next couple of years, as well as having a few established video production businesses in different areas. Definitely, currently, what I now do is I have a video production company in wedding films, and my current goal right now is to have it be able to be set up by itself with workers there, editors, shooters, and allow it to be run by itself. I also want to set up a production company for television and to create more short films and documentaries, as well as comedic content. I feel in my field, networking is quite important. At a certain level, it is who does have advantage. They do remember you. I mean, if you network well and you're quite known to produce a good quality of work, you have a lot of reoccurring jobs, a lot of reoccurring clients. A lot of people pass on your details to other people if they feel like, I know this guy who can do this for you. So I believe networking definitely impacts your money, and it's very important. I do see myself coming a mentor. I do enjoy passing on knowledge, because there was definitely times when there was no one who was pouring into me, and there's a lot of things I wish I knew at an earlier stage. So investing in people coming up and things like that, I do have a passion for. So I do see myself mentoring.